Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Robert Baylor, Director of Communications at NUCA. Welcome to our latest Webinar Wednesday, sponsored by NUCA's sustaining partner, Assignar. First, before we begin, some webinar housekeeping for attendees. Today's webinar will be recorded. It will be available on NUCA's YouTube channel that can be accessed via the front page of NUCA.com. All participants are muted upon entry. Phone participants can use *6 to mute and unmute themselves. Questions will be asked at the end of the presentation. To ask a question, you can submit a written question at any time using the chat feature, and I'll read them at the conclusion of our discussion. Now let's get started. Is your company struggling to keep projects profitable and compliant? Are manual processes slowing down your field teams? In this webinar, we'll explore to see how contractors are simplifying their operations using Assignar's compliance, scheduling, and workforce planning platform. In today's Webinar Wednesday, we'll walk through several real-world challenges construction teams face, from chasing down timesheets to managing compliance. You'll see a live demo of the platform and learn how AI is speeding up processes from scheduling to invoicing. Our presenters today will be Max Head and Anthony Salvatore, both with Assignar and the industry experts of our webinar. Max, I turn the webinar over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate that. Welcome, guys. Welcome in. Thanks for having us. We are excited to present today for Field of Finance, Close the Gaps, Boost the Bottom Line. We're also just want to give a huge shout out to NUCA. We've been a NUCA national member for a long time, a member of about 8 local chapters, including NUCA of Las Vegas, NUCA of Colorado, some other ones. So just shout out to you guys. I'm excited to see if we can get some more partnerships on the state level and continue to see you guys at local and national industry events. So today we're going to talk just about some of the challenges you might be facing and then show you how those challenges can be solved by connecting your field operations with your financial processes. So our goal today isn't to throw a bunch of software screens at you. It's to explore how small changes in how you work can have a big impact on margins, project delivery, and your team's day-to-day. Let's see here. So before we get started, just a quick intro. I'm Max Head. I'm an account executive here at Assignar. I'll be your host along with Anthony Salvatore, one of our sales engineers. Anthony works closely with contractors to design real-world workflows in Assignar. So he's the perfect person to take us inside the platform later on. So really excited to jump into that when we get to the demo portion. Let's start with kind of the reality on the ground. So today, projects are more complex than ever. Talk to contractors every day who kind of share how they have, some tools in place, but really just looking for like an all-in-one platform to help them manage their day-to-day. Without that, things like paperwork piling up at the office, manual scheduling that can take hours, no clear picture of whether a job is profitable until it's almost over, time loss chasing compliance docs, timesheets, and schedules. If that sounds kind of familiar, you're in good company, and those are the issues we hear from crews and project managers every day. So if there's anything else I missed, feel free to drop it in the chat. As Rob said earlier, we'll be saving questions for the end, so this will be a good chance to kind of warm those keyboards up and kind of get started there. So one of these, like some of the challenges to highlight, like as we kind of mentioned, like the missing timesheets, delayed invoices, every compliance, form you have to chase down, that cuts into your margin. So industry research shows contractors can lose up to like 5% project value from administrative delays and rework. Not sure if that resonates with you guys, but that's kind of what our customers and prospects are saying. That's real money, means lower profits, slower payments, and a constant scramble to catch up instead of focusing on building, which is what you guys do best. So imagine if all that field data made it into the office instantly without retyping, chasing, or hunting for missing information. So you'd be able to, cut admin work to a fraction of what it is today, make faster, better decisions with real-time visibility, send invoices, and run payroll without waiting days or weeks. That's kind of the connected workflow we're going to show you guys today. So some of you may already know Assignar Operations from working with us before. I know we've got some customers on here as well. Assignar Operations is a field operations solution that connects schedules, crews, assets, time, equipment hours in progress, and compliance to keep things moving smoothly. What we want to give you guys a sneak peek of today is Assignar Pay. It's our new construction payment management product that's AI-enabled, launching in just a few weeks. Connects field operations to finance, enabling contractors to automate payroll, invoice generation, and job costing, all based on real-time data captured from the site. Just a sneak peek too, we will be inviting you guys to attend our live webinar focused exclusively on Assignar Pay that's happening September 3rd. I'm going to drop a link to sign up for that webinar in the chat right now. Feel free to click that and sign up. We will also have a way to sign up at the end of this presentation as well. So last slide before we hop into the demo, just want to give you guys a sneak peek of kind of how Assignar Operations and Assignar Pay synergize together, how these solutions work together from start to finish. So essentially when you're awarded a contract, whether it's time and materials, schedule of rates, or a fixed price hard bid, the first step is to load it into Assignar Pay. So Pay then uses AI to interpret the contract data, including rate tables, schedule of rates, and award structures. So you're set up for accurate billing from day one. Then from there, you switch over into Assignar Operations. You schedule crews, equipment, and resources to your projects with AI-assisted scheduling coming into play over time. So in the field, your teams capture all the data they need, forms, change orders, tickets, site diaries, using their mobile devices, and then feeding that back into the office to sync in real time. Now we're on the check stage. So back in operations on the office side, your usual review and approval processes kick in to make sure all the captured data is correct and compliant. So you get that last look at timesheets, daily logs, different forms that are coming back. Then once approved, it flows back into Assignar Pay. So this is where AI takes over again, interpreting the actuals, breaking them down, matching them against the original contract's rate tables, applying things like overtime rules, using your schedule value or schedule of rates that were fed into Assignar Pay. And then finally, with everything reconciled, you generate the outputs. This is where we get to the good stuff with Pay. It's invoicing, job costing, payroll, all done with Assignar's Pay automated workflows that push back into your ERP or financial system. So that result is a single AI-powered workflow from contract award to final payment, seamlessly connecting field operations and financial performance. One cool thing too, if you guys are familiar with like ChatGPT, you'll have an AI agent that you can use for questions about your business. Like what we've all seen with ChatGPT, I think is actually replacing my role after I hop off this call. It was nice knowing you guys. Is the ChatGPT agent. You can upload documents specific to your project, like safety procedures, payroll rules, all those contracts, anything else you want for your team to ask an AI agent inside the dashboard that we'll be showing you. So example of that is being able to be used by the office, like when is my next invoice due, or out in the field, like what do I need to focus on today? And just a aside too, like one of the things we know AI is a big buzzword today, like we will never replace your workers, as we'll always require someone in the middle. So we see Assignar Pay doing exactly what our Assignar Operations tool did, making your existing workflows and workforce more efficient. So you guys can get back to doing what you guys were hired to do, build more. Instead of taking 15 hours to generate invoices for a company of 250, this was an example that we have for an existing customer in our beta program. That now takes about like 15 minutes, so they can scale without adding headcount. Their existing employees don't have to work weekends. We're not on this planet for a long time. So just like the plow let farmers, not have to work 16 hours a day by hand, we can all get some more work done, more time back in our days while still maintaining profitability. So thank you guys for listening. Looking forward to your feedback and questions as we get through the demo. And now, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Anthony to give you guys a sneak peek into Assignar Pay, along with the walkthrough of our operations.
All right. Very good. Max, can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Trying to
But
get
you
the
sounds good.
Perfect. Hard part out of the way. Are you guys seeing my screen and my mouse move?
We're now seeing your screen.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, great intro, guys. Appreciate all the information. Thank you again to everyone who took the time out of their busy day and busy week to join. Super excited, about the Assignar software and what we're going to show you around today for the demonstration. So without further ado, here we are. This is the home screen of Assignar Pay. As Max just mentioned, this is a new product that we're launching in the very near future. So looking forward to that September webinar. This is Assignar Pay. When you first log into the platform, you are going to see how Assignar Pay gets connected to your Assignar Operations database. And really the first thing that's going to happen is once that connection is established, it's going to populate all of your customers and projects, all of your cost codes, your roles, all the information that you need here to support the financial workflows within Assignar Pay. And, Max had mentioned it. It's worth repeating. What we're doing is building a unified platform now, bringing field operations data and finance data, together within one system. So more on that, as we proceed here today. And then, Max stole my thunder with the AI kind of explanations. AI now is a co-pilot here within Assignar Pay. Super excited about, the power behind AI, a lot of the heavy lifting that it can do. But make no mistake, it does not replace human interaction and decision making. Let AI do the heavy lifting, but you're still going to need, human decisions and human interaction within the system. And I'll kind of showcase that again as we proceed. First area really where AI and Chat GPT come into play here. We have Assignar GPT baked right in here. This can be a simple, just start to ask the system questions, how-tos, essentially like a knowledge base. This also gives you the ability, if I hit new chat in the upper right-hand corner, to interact, sort through, and ask questions about all the documentation, all the PDF files, all the information for your jobs and your projects that you might want to load up here. So we can load, true contracts, all of that documentation, all that information, schedule of rates, schedule of values. If you have union agreements, things like that to pertain to payroll rules, terms and conditions, all of that can be uploaded in here very easily. And then just as a quick example, if I back up a level, you can start to interact and ask that documentation questions to avoid reading through 30, 40, 50 page documents. So you can see here, I asked some questions, just what is my responsibility as a company as far as our travel policy on a specific job or maybe company-wide. All I did was ask ChatGPT to review the document that I'm concerned with here, asked it a couple of questions, and it summarized in just a couple of seconds what may have taken me 20 minutes, a half hour to sort through that document to figure out and determine myself. So multiply that out, extrapolate that out times, every time you have a question like that, really starting to work smarter, not harder, and save you time inside the system. So again, uploading information and interpreting and interacting with those documents, that's what we're doing here with AI. The first sort of area of setup here to discuss where that really comes into play is your scheduler rates inside of the system. So this is where once you've been awarded the project, you can load up your PDF files, your documents that you have with all of your charge rates that you need for invoicing. You can add those attachments right here, and then AI will take a few minutes and build out your detailed rate tables with all your T's and C's for you. So just a quick example of that, just to kind of showcase the power behind this. We attach just a simple schedule of rates here where I have just based inside of a PDF file. Think of these as classifications or roles inside of Assignar where I have straight time, overtime, double time values. I have some holiday details here. If I scroll down, I have all sorts of terms and conditions details. So all I have to do is upload this into the scheduler rates area within Assignar Pay. And then what happens is it builds all of the rate tables for you, matching it up to your terms, your roles that you have inside the system. And just like that now, for my construction supervisor, I have regular time, overtime, double time, all, tied to those special terms, special conditions. I don't mean to, scroll too fast on you here, but if I scroll down, you can see all of this detail all the way down to additional charges, things like allowances, LOAs, and then all of the special conditions that you guys kind of filter through, manage, and deal with job over job. So very powerful. Upload that document. It now sets the stage for a set of rates that you can apply to timesheets that are coming over from the operations side to get your billable or your invoice dollars accurate at the end of the day. And I'm going to show you that toward the back half of today's presentation. So very powerful, very good stuff to save you a ton of time here. And it is just worth mentioning we can do the same thing with pay rates. So pay rates, it give you the option to apply them to your timesheets. If you need that as part of an accurate payroll export or something like that, we certainly can do it. And then here's just a very parallel example of, in this case, we had a 35-page document, with all the rules and regulations. Again, this could be a union agreement, an EBA, whatever it is here. And then this documentation is going to hold a lot of details about rates of pay, allowances, overtimes, weekend work, different shifts, things like that. So many variables involved. Well, all you have to do is import it in and then, wait for AI to kind of do its thing here. And then it builds out all the rate tables, all of your hourly wages here, conditions and differentials for different shifts and weekends. All of that information is right here, ready for you as you're submitting timesheets to apply those dollars using AI. So that's really it, guys. That's the setup. That's kind of the first stage. You're awarded your jobs or projects. You load up all of your contracts, your schedule of rates, union agreements, payroll agreements, things like that. And at this point, you're ready to go into Assignar operations and do your thing as far as, scheduling, data capture out there in the field, and then your review and approval process before the information comes back here within Assignar Pay. So that being said, we're going to pause just for a moment, and we're going to now bounce into the next tab that I have open, which is the Assignar operations database. So this is the home screen of the Assignar dashboard, as we call it here. For those existing customers, you're familiar here, but for anybody new, the home screen of the Assignar dashboard here on the operations side represents a system where you can set up jobs and work orders. You can assign your people and equipment using drag and drop. You can notify the field and send information to mobile apps to have timesheets, all sorts of forms and documents filled out and sent back here for a review and approval process. So that's what the operations database is all about. And, let's just kind of go through a nice kind of tip to stern workflow so anybody that's new here can get a good flavor of the Assignar operations. So each time you log into the home screen, you're going to see high-level numbers of how many workers, how many assets are currently scheduled today, the number of timesheets that are coming in from the field that are going to go through that approval process before we send them back over to Assignar Pay. And then the activity feed is a chronological list as things happen and as things change throughout your environment. So you're going to see the status of some jobs changing here in just a moment. That's you communicating, releasing information to the field. We have forms that we can set up. So anything that you're capturing in the field outside of timesheets, safety forms, daily logs, change orders, equipment inspections, anything like that you have, you can set up electronically as a form here within Assignar operations. You can require that form if you choose to in order for the individual in the field to submit their timesheet for the day, killing two birds with one stone and making sure that that information is on a timely fashion, consistently coming in from the field to your dashboard. In the upper left-hand corner, anywhere you are within the system, you will see these three icons. These represent our alerts and notifications engine. So this is how we address compliance, making sure that you're certified, qualified in order to be assigned to a job here. So what happens is each individual worker has their own user profile where you can manage, however many of these certifications or skills that each person has. We can proactively warn you when things are about to expire. And then we have another bucket when things are past that expiration date or past due. The beauty of this is not only can we manage them within the system, but they can become requirements if it matters to you when you're scheduling. So I must have a certain amount of workers that have a CPR certification. Or I must have a certain advanced training in order to operate a specialized piece of equipment that I'm going to assign to the schedule. So if those are needs for you there, we got you covered. We can manage the expirations of these things and we can require them and give you visibility into them when you're scheduling. Same thing here with equipment. As far as alerts and notifications, we can notify you when things become due for your assets, like calendar-based tags, registrations, insurances, things like that. We also have customers that will use us and use our form module to fill out things like a daily vehicle inspection or an equipment pre-start form, capturing your odometer readings and your meter readings, and then we can trigger when the next level of service is due, when the next preventative maintenance routine, things like that. So if you're looking to increase and enhance some equipment maintenance workflows, we're more than happy to take you on a tour to see if we can help you there. And then last but certainly not least, we have notifications for the customer or the project. These are usually permits or a document or something like that that may expire. But if you're looking to manage it in one system, there's a good spot for it here within Assignar. So that's it. That's just sort of a 10,000-foot flyover of, the design, if I can speak here, of operations and sort of the lay of the land here. The next tab that we are going to talk about is what I call the center spoke of Assignar operations, and this is the main scheduling area. So the jobs that we talked about that come over from Assignar as we started in Assignar Pay, they will show up here within your schedule. You will see your pool of resources and equipment on the right-hand side here. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign your resources using drag and drop, and we have a recommendation engine built in that I'll show you. And then we notify your workers using text messages of their new assignment. And that's how we communicate between the office and the field, or between the dashboard and the mobile app. So lay of the land here is designed to be as flexible as possible. We want it to think how you think when you're scheduling. Kind of no two companies think exactly the same. So we have flexibility as far as the date range is concerned. You can look at things in a couple of days all the way up to 6 months at a time. If capacity planning is a need for you, we certainly have customers that use us to put things in advance to see, do I have the capacity, the manpower, the machines, to take on more work in the future? So certainly something that we can help address and handle for you there. On the left-hand side is a list of jobs or projects. Again, as we started with today, I got my job number with a quick description here, and then the tasks, the activities, the scopes of work that we're performing, and then the resources that I need in order to appropriately staff my crew on the job, in this example, across the next 4 days. In this particular case, the schedule is designed to be very simple to understand. It's got to be very palatable, very easy to kind of digest. Green is good, red is bad. I can see that I have a foreman and a truck. I have a few laborers, but I have not yet assigned an excavator and an operator. So just in today's example, I see a gap or hole in the schedule. I can double click if I want to schedule all remaining days. I could schedule 1 day at a time. We have a lot of customers that have a daily or nightly meeting where they do their scheduling. As soon as I click on something here within the schedule, the system is going to blue check mark recommend workers who are compliant and available for all dates that we've selected. So if I had a restriction here where I had to have a certain skill set, a certain qualification, I would be told who does and who does not have that specific qualification. Same thing here with equipment are available. In this case, excavators will rise to the top here. You can drag and drop resources as you find them individually, or you also have the ability to tie workers and equipment together to kind of represent a dedicated operator. So just like that, I click, drag and dropped Billy and the excavator, and now all of my icons turn green, and I'm confident that I've filled the schedule based on what I said I needed in the beginning here. So from here, I can swap people in and out. I can make rapid, quick changes day over day. We like to think we got you covered for consistent crews, long-term planning, and then, the short-term, always changing scenarios here. That's the first half of scheduling. The second half of scheduling here is, if I pop open the details, the information that we add to the work order becomes the information that the workers in the field will see after you notify them. So customer and project, the work, the activity that you're performing, the dates, all of this is visible to the folks in the field. A viable address will give them a hyperlink on the mobile app to tap on, so it'll bring up the default GPS on the phone or the tablet that they're using. Description, not reinventing the wheel, simple but effective communication. The dispatcher, the schedulers type a message in here, and it's one of the first things that the field workers see when they fire up the mobile app. So take this time to just simplicity, enhance and increase that communication across the board. On the right-hand side, you see a list of those roles or the job titles, the labels. These are going to be completely built by you guys. These are just examples that Max and I are using today. Where things really come together is I can see the quantity, the start and end time, but now the forms that whoever I assign, in this case as the foreman, what other information is that person responsible for filling out outside of timesheets? So for example, today, I'm going to assign myself as the foreman, and it's my job to fill out the JHA, these toolbox talk on Monday morning, the daily job report, which is required each time in order for me to submit my timesheets. So not only can you determine who sees what on the mobile app by bringing forms into the role, you also have the ability to require those forms in order for that person to submit their timesheet. Very powerful stuff, used, I would say, by 95% of our customers right off the bat, day one. Two more quick things just to touch on. We do have the ability to track progress. This goes to our job costing module, not to steer my own thunder, that I'm going to show you hopefully toward the end of the call today. But you have the ability to import a set of items, cost codes, tracking accounts, whatever terminology you use, with your estimated or bid quantities and the units of measure that you want to use to track. This translates into your real-time profit and loss, or P&L, or job costing, which I'm going to show. This also can help you with your progress billing or your progress invoicing if you're billing based on quantities complete, percentage complete, things like that. So a lot of powerful stuff we can do by capturing quantities and tracking our production. And then last but certainly not least, anything else that you want to attach here, drawings, plans, spec sheets, whatever it is, attaching it here, you're one tap of the screen away from viewing it on the mobile side as a worker in the field. So that's really it, guys. That's, again, the information that you add to schedule. Again, good for the office to see, and becomes the communication, the information that the field workers see. So at this stage, what I like to do is say, we've loaded up all the information. We've moved around some people and equipment. We're happy with the makeup of our crew right now. The next step is to come in here and notify, send SMS text messages directly to the individual workers that are out there on the job site. So first of all, anybody whose schedule changed, I can do this in one swoop and blast it out to any number of people. And then we can even use what we call a text template, an SMS template, to avoid needing to type out the message to auto pull data directly from the schedule onto the text message itself. So that's what we're doing here. You can see each person will have their own job assignment, the project, the address, the dates. And then most of our customers choose to include a hyperlink within the outgoing text that the workers on the field tap on, and that brings them right into the mobile app, into a daily screen where they're viewing their assignment details. So the mindset is I blast this out in one swoop to the 20 or so individuals that are ready to be notified here. And that is our segue now into the next tab, which is the Assignar mobile app. I'm using a simulator here. This is the same mobile app on an Android or an iPhone, so feel free to mix and match. There's no two different learning curves. It is the exact same thing. So I received the text. I clicked on the message. That brings me here now. I'm logged in as Anthony the foreman. I see a daily view here where I can see all of the job assignments for me as an individual, as well as the ability for me to create a site diary, which is a crew-based information capture of production, timesheets, notes, photos, etc. And then I can see of the forms that are tied to me in schedule, which ones are timesheet required. So that's what I see as an individual based on who I am and the setup of the schedule on the mobile side. To button up the communication, all I need to do is tap anywhere here on the screen, and the information we saw a moment ago within the schedule is the same information that we see here now on the mobile app. So physical addresses, pins on a map, shift times. If I scroll down, any comments here. Again, typing it in the schedule, one of the first things they see here, just enhancing that communication. As I scroll down, several forms were tied to my day. In this case, just today, one is required, but I can require multiple. Do what makes sense. Job over job, day over day is the message there. and then any attachments. I didn't have to go to my email, to find the job drawings that I probably lost, deleted, or got caught by my spam filter. Everything is just conveniently here in one simple, easy to find, organized area. So that's it, guys. That is sort of the first main module, which is the scheduling area. Again, how resources, people, equipment, all of your electronic forms and that requirement all come together for a simple but effective experience here on the mobile side. So timekeeping is where I'm going to transition into next. So I'm a worker in the field. I'm on the job site. I've reviewed all my information. It's time for me to start capturing some data and sending it back to the office. So I can, as an individual, we can check in and check out. We can be responsible for our own timesheets if your company chooses. We also have the ability to use and leverage what's called a site diary, which is supervisor or foreman capturing data for everyone and then submitting the completed package back to the office. Either one works. You have options. Max and I are more than happy, if you're interested, to discuss what might make most sense for you, and that's the direction that we'll go with you. Absolutely. So here in the site diary, I am the foreman about to create timesheets. When I say add timesheets, the connection to the schedule is immediately evident. It knows who I am. It knows who else is part of my crew for the day, but I can make adjustments. If Mike doesn't show up here, I can delete him. I can add new people. I don't have to call the office and change the schedule if something is different from the original plan. It's designed to be completely flexible. From this point forward, we're just building time breakdown. So I just have a simple 7 to 5 excavation here, but you certainly have the ability to spread hours across multiple cost codes. So if I need to separate travel time, shop time from my work on site time, if I want to break my work on site time into different cost codes, I absolutely have the capabilities to do that here on the mobile app. But for today, we'll just keep it simple. We'll say that we're working on excavation. The equipment that was part of the schedule automatically comes in here as well, but I could break away from that and I could have different set of hours tied to my equipment. If that's a need for you, let us know. And then the last screen here is any allowances, per diems, meal stipends, travel allowances. We're going to take a critical look under the hood to make sure that we're capturing the data that you folks need here. So again, this is an option for you, and we'll do that exploration together again if there's interest. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and build 5 timesheets now for my individuals. If I need to, I can go into the individual's timesheet and make adjustments now, but I did not have to build things from scratch each time. So very streamlined, very powerful. If you're choosing to go the crew-based route or the site diary route, with your data capture, this I think is our most streamlined, most efficient workflow. I don't think, without question, it is. So if you're open to this, let us kind of show you around and let's take advantage. Very good. So next screen here now is job progress. So the beauty of this is I can see all of the cost codes that are specific to this job. If I have a master list with hundreds and hundreds, we can give you a recommended pre-filter. So it's very simple and straightforward to sort through. And then if I just choose excavation here, for example, I can very clearly see what have I done so far, and then what do I have left or remaining there on the job. So it already knows I've done about 60% of this so far. I can see my quantity. I can either enter the number of units, in this case, the number of cubic yards, or a percentage complete today. So if I say that we did another 2,000 or something like that today, I immediately see dynamically the quantity and the percentage change here. And now, so it's visibility. I can know kind of, am I being accurate? Does the accrued quantity make sense over the multiple days? And then I can supplement this with comments and notes to help support my production to quantify and qualify what I'm adding here. I'm going to show you an end result of this in just a moment, so I won't bore you with bringing in photos that I stole from the internet at this stage. So that's job progress. We also have the ability to capture materials, as I mentioned, notes and photos, and then any additional questions. Max and I typically, when we're looking at timesheets, we see, a couple of generic questions that are really important to the company, like, did you do any extra work? Is the job complete? Yes or no? Do what makes sense. We can require these questions as well as part of your foreman site diary, and then we have the hour-by-hour weather conditions. Before we button up the mobile app here, I do just want to show you again, I am the foreman. I'm about to submit time for everyone here. And when I go to sign and submit, wait a minute, nope, you can't do that until you fill out your required form for the day. So I am going to pause here on the mobile app. But what this will do is I'll hit start. It brings you directly into the form. It pre-populates some header information. And now from this point forward, guys, this is just an example form that Max and I show. We will build out your forms, send them to us. We'll build them out for you, make them yours here within Assignar, and just a lot of flexibility with building forms as to the different question options, etc. here. So a lot of capabilities, more than happy to have that discussion depending on what the need is out there in the field. So that's the mobile app here, guys. In the interest of time, I am going to move forward to kind of the end result. So what happens is you fill out the forms, you fill out the site diary, and that information goes to a couple of different areas back in the dashboard. First of all, the site diary as a whole makes its way here to a dedicated review screen. These site diaries are what most people use to back up the details that they're sending out on the invoices, which I'm going to go over in just a couple of minutes here as well. So this is your daily production sheet where I can see summarized totals up top, hourly weather conditions and temperature here that was automatically recorded. Here's an example of one that's been completely filled out. I can say that I did 500 cubic yards of excavation. I did 100 feet of pipe today. I can see we ran into some issues today. I have photos to support that information, very legible, very organized, easy on the eye to kind of follow and understand here. As I scroll down, here's each individual's timesheets now that are going to go through a review and approval process on the next screen before we send them over to Assignar Pay. In this case, I'm breaking out time into multiple cost codes. So I spent half the day on excavation, the other half the day on pipe. Again, you can have as few or as many of these cost code time breakdowns as you need to here. Capturing materials, so the quantity tied to a cost code, very easily done. This can also be things like receipts for expenses. I bought lunch, I bought something at the hardware store, reimburse me in my paycheck. Notes and photos all day long, just for enhancing that communication. And any additional questions, if you need to use the section and require them, and then your signature and customer signatures. So a lot of folks use this, again, as kind of a T&M sign-off if the customer's there on site to validate and verify the information that you're recording, right there when you're on the job. So that is the main area where the site diary as a whole comes in for review. And then that leads us to kind of the last screen that I'm planning on showing today within Assignar Operations, and that is our timesheet review and approval screen. So each of the individual timesheets from the foreman's site diary in today's example make their way here into a dedicated timesheet screen. The first thing that we would do is we would align the date range with your pay period. So if you pay weekly, bi-weekly, we're going to be an exact match there. If I open up one of these timesheets, same information that we just saw on the site diary, but now things we can review, potentially edit and adjust before we approve and send over to Assignar Pay. So, the customer, the project, what was the source? Did the individual fill it out or did the crew leader? Again, with the activities and the hour breakdown, all the fun stuff that you fight during payroll, the comments, I had to come in late, leave early, all that kind of stuff. It matters, especially when you need to get things accurate in the 11th hour with that deadline looming. Last thing I'll point out here before we kick it back to Assignar Pay is we also have the ability to define any and all overtime rules that you folks have. So if you have union rules, if you have, different project or customer specific set of overtime rules, we can detail them out within the system. And then as part of your approval process, we can run those overtime rules to get things separated out, tied to your specific earn codes or IDs that you need over here, so that the output is as accurate as possible at the end of the day. Unless you're using like a true named integration, I guess the goal would be to cut down, if not eliminate, the need for any manual manipulation or post-processing once we generate that export file. And this is sort of case in point into how detailed we can be. So that's it, guys. That is, I guess, a nice flyover of the different areas, the main modules of the Assignar operations platform. We talked about certification and compliance. We talked about scheduling. A day in the life of what the individual would see using the mobile app, submitting site diaries, timesheets, and all forms back to the dashboard here for review, and then a little bit about what that approval process would look like. So the kind of mindset here is I would select a batch of timesheets, I would approve those timesheets, and then without further ado here, I will segue back over into Assignar Pay. Those timesheets now will come over into a parallel timesheet screen, again, on the pay side now of the platform. So here we are. We are now back in Assignar Pay. First thing I can see here is a big, bold blue button in the upper right-hand corner that says Import from Assignar. And what I have the ability to do is define, a date range or a pay period, whatever it is. There's a switch here that I absolutely love that says only fetch the approved timesheets. So the system of checks and balances, so to speak, takes place within the operations side of the platform before we bring it over to Assignar Pay. So here's a list of those same timesheets. I can see some of them have the schedule of rates applied. Some of them do not here. If I want to, I can pick and choose individuals. I can select an entire group or batch, and then I have the ability to process or schedule those rates. So if I were to just sort of kick this thing off, I can start to process those rates. It's going to tell me that it's going to be kind of thinking in the background, and I can go ahead and close this window and continue what I'm doing, while AI is now matching up all of the details, all the dollars and information from the schedule of rates document that we uploaded based on all the data, the roles, and the hours that are part of Max's timesheet here. So all of that powerful stuff is happening just by checking a box and clicking a button to apply or process my schedule of rates. A good example of kind of once this is complete is I can open up, an example timesheet now that came over from operations to pay. I can see total hours, start and end times here. I can very clearly see the job or the project and the client that this is tied to. And now I'm seeing what was applied based on that AI routine or that process that we just kickstarted. As I'm coming down, I can now see that the hours are turning into dollar values based on accurate charge rates here. So I can see total dollars now within my timesheet, all tied to my invoicing values. I can see the time for the charge for regular time versus overtime, additional charges for other things like travel and meals. And then, based on what Max said really in the beginning here, the AI reasoning with an analysis and breakdown of what it did, it's explaining to you so that you're not just taking for granted and making assumptions that it's correct. So again, it requires human interaction, human judgment to say, well, AI matched construction supervisor up with my foreman role. Yes, that's okay, that's accurate, but I needed that judgment as a human that is not going to be replaced by AI, but a lot of the heavy lifting and all the manual processes certainly can be. So that is just a quick review of what timesheets in Assignar Pay can do for you, what it looks like to apply those schedule of rates. What that does now is that transitions us into kind of a couple final screens here. The one that I just clicked on is billable units. So basically, once you apply all of your schedule of rates to your timesheets in the previous screen, that then populates a review page we call billable units here. where I can filter down and kind of manage and manipulate and anticipate, some revenue dollars that will be coming back. So inside of this screen, it allows me to filter. I have some options to filter by client, by project. So if I'm doing project specific billing or just billing for all jobs for a specific customer, it really allows me to narrow down my focus. Depending on what I have filtered, I can see again, dollar values, revenue that I'm anticipating coming in, what else is sort of outstanding here. And then the grid below, this is allowing us now to get a preview, a sneak peek at all of the calculations, all the stuff that happened using AI and using, that matching routine. And it gives me the ability to review and make adjustments live right here within the grid. So I can see total hours. I can see rates. I have the ability to come in here and say, you know what, the foreman rate should have been $75 instead of $71. I can make that adjustment here absolutely to get it right before I move forward with processing. This screen is customizable, configurable. Let's use that word here. You can come in and you can, adjust some column settings. You can turn some columns on and off. It really just allows you to kind of personalize this review screen so that it shows you what you need to see. And then once you're happy with it, you can, for various reasons, you have the capability to export this grid to a CSV or an Excel file. There are real world reasons why you would want the invoicing data to be exported out of Assignar Pay and brought into your ERP or accounting system. And this certainly gives you that capability. So the mindset is if everything looks good here within the billable units or your review screen, the final screen here now is the invoice that we're going to generate and email and send out with any additional attachments and information. So the invoices screen here, you can see we can filter by the status of the invoices. So as you start to populate, just staying organized, finding what you need to, also based on kind of the aging, when things are past due, so on and so forth, based on payment terms. So you have some robust filter options. Once you start the process of a new invoice here, you're brought to kind of a header screen where you would bring in the client, the project that you're looking to invoice. You can choose what type of invoice. Is it going to be a progress billing? Is it going to be time and materials, fixed price, and so on and so forth? We have some decent options for you there. Issue date, due date, are there any taxes? And then supplementing, adding notes and attachments, again, adding site diaries from the operations side to back up, the invoice and the details that you're emailing. Very, very common, very, very powerful. So the end result here, let me kind of show you, I guess, if I go into this, what I have the ability to do is I can add timesheets now to populate the line items of the invoice, and we have options as far as how we're presenting pricing. So down here, I can see a list of everything that's outstanding or open for this customer and project. I can select a couple here, and then I have the ability to preview what my line items look like within my invoice. So you can see this is a very detailed example for each individual person, itemized, straight time, overtime, travel allowance, meal allowance for each person. That's kind of as detailed as it gets there. And then I'll show you kind of a much simpler example. If I preview just the summary, it's just listing out my two individuals, giving you your totals, and then your grand total there. So there's 4 different options, flexibility based on the needs, the requirements, of your customer base. Happy to, explore what we have here a little bit deeper with you if there's interest. Absolutely. Great. And then the end result of the invoice here, which I will just pop open, will calculate everything for you. Calculates everything for you. It gives you quantities, unit pricing, your amount, tells you what the source is, subtotals, grand totals, does tax apply, things like that. So this, again, I should probably have shown you an example of an invoice that actually has dollars. So I apologize for there, guys. Here's one that actually has dollars and a value and information. The mindset is you email these directly from the Assignar Pay application here, including your attachments. And it is worth mentioning that we are going to be including a customer portal where you can publish these invoices within the customer portal, invite them to log in. They can see and then interact with the system and exactly what the specific capabilities of that, if that's an interest and a question, please come to the webinar in a few weeks. Ask those specific questions and we can give you a good preview of what that functionality is going to be. So customer portal is also going to be part of the overall Assignar Pay solution. I do just want to try to get through one more quick screen just in the interest of, previewing what we've been working diligently on in our development team, and that is Assignar job costing. So I sort of mentioned this a couple of times as we've been going. The job costing is kind of a real life P&L. It's trending analysis in real time based on timesheets and site diaries that are being submitted from the operations side. So in order to start this process, you have the ability to import your estimates, your bids, your quotes. You also have the ability to import details and information from Assignar to build out your job details. An example of that, if I just click on my excavation and pipe example, it really gives you just a quick summary that allows you to start to boil down and drill down into potential problems. So in this particular example, it's telling me that the total budget for my job is about $317,000. So far, I've done about $62,000 worth of work. And now based on all of the quantities, all of the hours, and all of the things that are rolling up to that completed work, it's doing the algorithm and the math for me and telling me my forecasted or my estimated cost at completion. In this case, my cost at completion is forecasted to be less than my budget. Therefore, I'm projected to make about $29,000 or $30,000 based on my activity so far for this job. If I scroll down, we have a bid view section here where I can see item by item, cost resource by cost resource. How are we doing? So, total quantities here. What is my reported quantity to date? My accrued cost, and then my forecast. Green is good, red is bad. I can very clearly see things that I'm trending positively on, and then I'm starting to trend a little negatively or falling behind on as well. And then I'll just leave you with the transactions here is nothing more than a laundry list of everything. There's manual transactions in here, but this will be everything that's coming directly over from Assignar, again, as timesheets, site diaries, completed quantities, all of that information flows directly from Assignar operations in here to job costing and updates this P&L here in real time. Very powerful stuff, super exciting. Really looking forward to diving in with you guys and having, some deeper conversations. So that's it. That's what I had planned, to discuss here today. Max, I will kick it back to you as far as, Q&A. I really appreciate everyone's time, and I look forward to, speaking in the near future.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anthony. And I think Rob has a list of questions we're going to ask him to read off in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, guys. Bear with me 1 second. Make sure. You see on my screen okay?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to send one more link in the chat as well, guys. So 2 things. The link in the chat is going to be a sign up for our longer term release for Assignar Pay. So as we release new features, there's updates, there's little short, webinar snippets, things like that. That'll be your active mailing list kind of for the rest of the year. And then this screen that you're seeing right now, if you just want to pull up your phones, just scan this QR code really quick. It'll open up a link to sign up for the actual Assignar Pay webinar release on September 3rd. So that'll include a presentation from our founder and CEO, Sean McCreener, some of our product team, and just give you guys a much more granular, detailed walkthrough of the platform that Anthony touched on today. And then give you guys a really in-depth way to understand, the workflows, what we've built, ask questions, things like that. So don't think we're going to shortchange you on, anything technical, or if you had specific questions, feel free to sign up for this webinar and the mailing list in the chat. That way you guys are going to be up to date, and then we'll see you on September 3rd. Before we wrap up, though, just wanted to kick it back to Bob. Thanks for just giving us a run through of those questions. I think we had a few come in. If you wanted to ask those with the 5 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Max. Yeah, first question is, how easy is it to create a new work order in the scheduler?
Yeah. Happy to take that one. Very simple. So I know we didn't spend a ton of time in this schedule. Again, happy to dive in further, but we have options to streamline what it takes to get the work order and all the details that I showcased today in the system. The short answer is we have something called work order templates, which we will describe and discuss with you, that allow you to start with a template. So it's a 60, 65, 70% starting point, so that you're just adding things from there that are truly specific to the job. And it's all going to be based on consistencies on your end as far as crew size, length of the job and things like that. So work order templates, I believe, is the real answer there, but we have some other options that we're happy to explore.
Got another question. Does the mobile app work on tablets as well? And is there an offline mode?
Yeah. If I didn't mention, I apologize. Mobile app works on Android and Apple devices, including tablets. So the answer is yes there, absolutely. And yes, there is an offline mode, full-blown, full-capable offline mode that you can use for days without a connection. And then once you do hit a Wi-Fi or cell signal, the mobile app will sync back with the dashboard and you'll have that information. So it's very simple. There's no VPN or special connection. It's designed to be as simple as possible. So yes and yes, I think were the answers there. Yes.
Thank you, Anthony. Got another one. How does the extensibility look for export to payroll ERPs?
The extensive. Okay, yeah. A lot of options. So what I touched on today but didn't show is right out of operations or from Assignar Pay, you have the ability to export to a CSV file. That's a simple format to interface with your payroll or your ERP system, export out of us, import into the third-party side. We also have options for a more robust export called data share, which takes any piece of information from our operations database and allows you to report off of it, either in Excel or a tool like Power BI or Tableau. We have named integration partners, depending on the scope, depending on the specific accounting package. Happy to have those conversations if it makes sense. And then it's just worth mentioning that we also have an API that we can talk through to move some data, again, if there's some technical needs on the other end.
Got two more questions. First one is, how does Assignar Pay connect to Assignar Operations? Can it be used as a standalone tool if we already have operations software?
Yeah, so I'll take this one. So we've got, as Anthony showed, we've got the connection through the open API to Assignar Operations with the Pay module. You can also use Assignar Pay as a standalone tool. So if you have, obviously your external bids, if you have an external operations software where that field data is coming back, we also have that import tool that's right next to the button to import from Assignar Operations. So you can import things like timesheets, other field data, to have Assignar Pay act as a standalone tool. So obviously, if you have a true all-in-one solution with Assignar Operations, it's single source of truth for your field data. It's one app that's easy for your field team to use. That feeds back into Assignar Operations, or Assignar Pay, excuse me. But if you also have an existing operations platform, you can still get that data and import it into Assignar Pay for payroll, invoicing, and job costing.
And we are right up against the hour, so one last question, which is, does Assignar Pay replace my ERP accounting system?
That's a quick answer.
Yeah. Take it away.
The answer is, so candidly, no. We do get asked that. We're not in the really accounting and ERP system realm here. So the answer there is no. We sit alongside your ERP or your accounting system. We can feed the data that's needed over there, but you would still need a true ERP sitting alongside of Assignar Operations. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Max. I want to thank both of you for your time today to present this information to our webinar guests. Today's webinar has been recorded. A recording of this webinar will be made available on NUCA's YouTube channel over the next few days. And thank you for your time today to join us for this special industry webinar and for supporting NUCA. Thank you for your time this afternoon. And please enjoy the rest of your week.